I thought, but if there's ever a time to make my mark as an individual actor in the business, going out on top and then finding something to do, to me, seemed logical. To everybody else on the planet, it was stupid.
Here I am at the Culver Hotel in Culver City, California. This is my intimate talk with Patrick Duffy. You are going to know him like you've never known him before. We all love him as Bobby Ewing, and we all love him from Step by Step and everything he's done. But believe me, you will love him on another level, even more, after this talk. So let's talk about Dallas real quick. Well, not real quick. Let's talk about it. Of course, I loved it. You were the greatest. I mean, it was so good. I don't even know what to say almost.
I appreciate that. And the beautiful thing about what you said you were the greatest. And immediately in my mind, I went, well, I was the second greatest. The best friend I've ever had in my life was Haggy. And he was the reason that show got past the second year. He made that character live, and it was not on the page. It was just him and his persona. When we read the pilot for Dallas, it was the first time I ever met him. I walked into the room, we shook hands, said hello. I went back home after that event, and I told my wife, I said, I just met my best friend.
That is so cool. That's what I'm talking about.
And he was my best friend for 35 years.
I heard you say that in another interview as I was doing my recent research also.
Yeah.
That, you were really legitimately.
We loved each other.
But how did you know right off the bat? It was just one of those connections you could tell.
It was, it's the male bonding version of falling in love, I think. I don't know, I was married for 47 years. And over the interview history of my career, people would say, well, what's the secret of, a long marriage, especially in your business, et cetera, et cetera. And I just said, I don't know. When we met, I just knew that was the love of my life. And if you asked me to make a list of what it was that did it, I wouldn't know what to put on it. Yeah, she's pretty. Yeah, she was pretty. Yeah, has a nice smile. Yeah, an artist. She was an artist. But it was a sense, a shared sense of being. And it was the same with Haggy. It was just the minute we were in, and he had the same reaction. It was just, oh, this is why we're doing this show, so that we can find each other again and be best friends.
Yeah, it's like that's the human connection that you just know it's just there. It's not like a checklist. Yeah,
and it's true with Linda right now. I mean, we talk about this we talked about it this morning before I came here. It's just like, it's so comfortable. It has to be a continuation and not something new. Mm-hmm. There's a footprint that we follow in terms of the relationship, not in terms of divine intervention, but just the comfort factor and the ability to communicate was not invented on the 23rd when I arrived in Colorado Springs. It was hello again.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the feeling. Yeah. And I think it's true with friendships.
So there's like a familiarity there.
Yeah. I think it's true with your pets. I mean, how many times maybe you've heard of people that have pets that said, we walked in, I looked in there and I went, that's my dog. I know that's my dog. And I took that dog and now she's been my dog for, things. Yeah. And you just go, well, I'm not surprised at all. Yeah. Of course it's that way.
I have that story too, of course. Yeah, that's how Stella.
I think I'll analyze you now as a therapist.
All right, go.
No,
I'm ready.
No, I won't. No.
I'm open to that too.
Okay.
Yes, that's how we got Stella. It was my son who you just met, Charlie. We were looking in the little kind of the group of siblings. Yeah. And they all were adorable, but there was just something about Stella licking us. I don't know what was going on. It was like we knew her. Yep. And she was the one, and she's hello the again. One still.
It's a hello again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what life is all about too, isn't it?
Of course it is. That's the beauty of the potential of our life, is that it's always just about to happen. If you open your senses, and not just hearing and everything, but that little voice that we have sometimes, I think it's there for a purpose. I think it's a portal through which we can discover great things about our environment, but also about ourselves. And it depends on how you listen and how you let things come in, and then how you respond, and you then recognize as opposed to just learn.
Fully, yes. That's a yes.
Okay.
And some people are more open
Absolutely.
than others.
Yeah.
And I do find being around open people helps all of us be more
It
open as
opens,
well.
yeah.
And then we open everybody else up too. And it's just like everybody wins.
And that's the way it should work.
Yeah. But it isn't always
Well,
for,
people
people.
need a little bump on the door to get it to open.
Or
But everybody's potential is to open that door. And that's what we have to remember. The worst person, in our opinion, on the planet still has the potential
Definitely.
to open that door.
Definitely.
So,
and there are reasons why
they might not do it this lifetime, but we got to hold on to hope.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So
Okay, bring us back to Dallas.
Dallas again. Well, how did we get off that thing?
No, it's all good. I like to get off things.
Oh,
See, this
I was
is
just
what I
saying-
like to do is meander around.
but
You became best friends with Larry Hagman and Linda Gray too, right?
And yeah, the three of us were considered the Three Musketeers. That's what they referred to us as.
Yeah.
And then when we did the new Dallas in 2014, the premise was Cynthia Sidra said, "I'll do it, but we need three actors. We need Hagman, Linda, and Patrick. Otherwise, the show will not work." And so we were the three,
Yeah, it makes sense.
the big three.
Yeah, you guys were the big three. And I know, okay, fine. I'm going to give him credit too, but you deserve credit too. You were big. You were like a great character and a great person to watch. And Bobby Ewing was first on my,
Well,
whatever you want to call
Thank
it.
you. Yeah.
I loved watching you in the convertible and all the activity, the back and the forth and the this and your relationship with Pam. I'm saying you, I know it wasn't.
No, I know, but
really
I get
you.
it. I get it. If people yell Bobby on the street, I turn around.
Yeah, I get it. So they still do, huh?
Of course. Well, like you said, I mean, it did cover so many generations. Yeah. But one of the beautiful things, we'll get back to exactly what you were saying because it was a compliment. I want to hear more, is that out in public in events or whatever, more often than not, and Linda and I have done this recently a lot, people will say, it wasn't just watching the show. I sat with my grandma and my mom and dad, and we had to have dinner before, and we had to be quiet, and we went in the living room, and we had dessert, and we watched the show together as a family. And this is now 30 years later, and they say, I never forgot that. And their parents maybe have passed or something. It's such an emotional touchstone for people, not just because the show, in my opinion, was a good show, but it wasn't just that.
No,
it was how they experienced that, and they were imprinted with the whole emotional baggage that came with sitting and watching that show on a certain night of the week.
Friday night.
Friday night.
Just to be clear.
Yeah, okay.
I do remember it that well.
Yeah.
But I decided when we booked this, I was like, okay, I haven't watched it in decades. So let me just go do a little like, debriefing or whatever.
Right.
So I pulled up an episode. It was the first one. And just hearing the music in the beginning was like, oh, home, I'm home.
Yeah.
You know, it's that feeling.
That theme was only changed one time in the 16 years we did the show, the old and the new one. And the executive director on the new Dallas, Mike Robin, when they did the episode where JR died, and they did a beautiful special episode, they changed the opening music. It was the same song, but they brought it down. They took out the disco beat kind of thing, and they made a funeral dirge out of it. They just slowed it enough that it was dum 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 dum, and you knew it was a show about the passing of Hagman and JR and everything. It was so emotional. I watched that, and it was just like, I cry at commercials anyway. So I was awash.
Yeah. I feel like now I have to go back and watch that.
You got to watch that episode. It's remarkable.
So can we talk about Bobby dying?
Sure. Oh yeah.
Because there's a whole story there that I don't think people even know. But like, it was kind of the beginning of, that was like the biggest twist, I feel like. It
was a bigger twist than the Who Shot JR. It didn't get the number kind of attention because of the character of JR and what, and everything. There was an actor strike, so hiatus lasted another 3 months. They didn't get the question, is he live or die? I mean, it was a big thing. But
we're talking about Who Shot JR.
Yeah.
Right, because everybody does think of Who Shot JR, but now that I think about it, I don't even remember
who
shot JR.
Well,
Who shot JR?
Hagman's joke was always that Bing Crosby's daughter shot Peter Pan's son.
Okay.
because Mary Martin was Peter Pan and Mary Martin was Hagman's mom.
Okay.
And Mary Crosby was Bing Crosby's daughter. So anyway, that's who shot JR.
Okay, I forgot all about it.
But when Bobby died, the reason Bobby died is I'd been on the show 7 years. I had a 7-year contract. I'm not the best businessman in the world, just so you know, but I'm lucky. So I thought, the show's so hot. It's an ensemble show. Of course, Hagman was, the prow of the ship. I thought, but if there's ever a time to make my mark as an individual actor in the business, going out on top and then finding something to do, to me, seemed logical. To everybody else on the planet, it was stupid.
Oh, really? You didn't even have like an agent or somebody recommending that?
No.
Oh, so they don't tell people to quit the jobs?
Oh, no.
Because that's like a David Caruso thing, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't he the...
Yeah.
Oh, I would have thought like you.
No, listen, my agent, I was making great money. The show, we knew the show was going to go another 3, 4, 5 years. No, every agent worth their salt would say, just stay there. You're making good money. I thought, maybe I'll make more good money. Let's see what's out there. I left the show. I worked, but I didn't make the jump I thought I was going to make. It just didn't happen.
So you worked, but they were like the smaller gigs.
Yeah, it was. I didn't get an offer for a new series immediately, so I went to England. I did a movie there. I did some commercials. I was always working, but I was jobbing in work. I wasn't immediately. I was not the Bob Urich of our business who went from one pilot to another for his entire career. But I was okay. And Leonard Katzman, who was the executive on the show, when I convinced everybody I was truly leaving, he had a meeting with me and he said, he was a mentor of mine and I loved him dearly. And he said, how do you think we should do this? I said, my only hope that you'll do is that Bobby has to die, because otherwise it'll look like a trick to get audience reaction and then to have him come back or something. I said, I really am leaving. So
wait.
He needs to go out like a hero and die.
So it would look like a trick if he came back?
It would look like a trick if all of a sudden they just said, Bobby's disappeared. We don't know where he is. He went on a trip and he might be kidnapped. I don't know.
Oh, so people wouldn't accept that you were gone.
Yeah, they would think he's going to come back.
Okay.
He's going to come back. And they would think, they're just trying to get us interested in him coming back to get ratings and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I figured if I died, that pretty much is it.
You would think.
Yeah, you'd think that would be it. And I wanted to die as a hero, so I got to save Pam, get hit by the car. I had a great death scene, oh my God, in the hospital, which was so hard for all of us because we loved each other. Yeah. I wasn't leaving under a cloud at all. It was, Hagman every day would try and convince me to stay. And I said, no. So anyway, that scene in the hospital it was really hard to do.
Emotional.
Because that was the final scene of me on the show. It was done in order. And I died on that table. My wife was off camera. I went to my dressing room. I changed clothes. We packed the car and I drove off the lot.
Weird. Emotional? How did you feel?
Oh
when you drove off?
It was terribly
like
emotional.
when you drove away, how did you feel?
Yeah, I was sad. I felt it was correct, but I was sad because my wife would make a joke. She said, you leave for work early every day. And I said, yeah. I said, I just can't wait to get to work.
Yeah.
So, and I would get on right here at Culver City. We shot at Sony.
Right you did right here?
MGM. It was called MGM then.
Oh.
And I would drive here, get out of the car, go directly to Hagman's room. We'd open a bottle of champagne. We'd each have a glass of champagne, and then we'd report to makeup. And that was every single day.
I can't believe you left with all that too.
I know.
But you had your ideas.
Yeah. And then a year later, the results are what you already know. Is I got a phone call from Hagman, and he said it was a message machine. Shows you how long ago it was. And I played the message back, and he said, "Patrick, I want you to come out to Malibu. Let's get drunk. I want to talk to you." And I hung up and I said, they're going to ask me to come back on the show. And
how did you want to then?
By then I was ready.
You were. So you felt like it was a mistake.
Yeah. I actually had realized that this is interesting. That's why I said I was lucky rather than smart. I had left in order to increase my visibility, my professional visibility, and sort of carve out a place for myself. It didn't happen while I was off the show. But when the rumor got out that they were going to bring Bobby back and nobody knew how, and it got...
So it did get out, the rumor, ahead of time.
Yeah, it was out ahead of time. And then it was, when's it going to be? It's the final episode. How's it going to, all of that blah, 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 blah was going on. When I came back in the shower, it was such a stunner that from the new episode and the next season, I was no longer part of the ensemble of the complete show. I was like side by side with Haggy. It was JR and Bobby, and there was such now, not just attention, because that sounds shallow, but I was afforded more to do on the show.
So there was more focus on you.
Yeah, there was a depth of writing then after that, and I got 5 more years now playing the part that I really thought the part should be, which was an equal sort of counterbalance to the character of JR. And it was joyful, and I was back with my family and my friends, and I was lucky, that it accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, just not the plan I had. That's
right. All. But that's like, it really is the best of both worlds, best of everything.
Yeah.
And it goes down in history as one of the biggest moments ever. So just to be clear, we know what it is. So you had died, as you talked about, you had your death scene. And then a year later, your wife, Pam, opens the door, the shower door, and you're in it.
And I turn, and you never see us together, by the way, because that's the story.
Right. I want to hear that story too.
Okay.
Even though I know it, not everybody does.
She opens the shower door, and then it cuts inside the shower, and I turn around in the shower and say, "Good morning." Freeze frame. That's the end of the season.
Is there a better cliffhanger than that?
I've never seen a better cliffhanger than that. Because the whole viewing audience around the world went, what? The first phone call I got was literally 30 to 40 seconds after that freeze frame. The phone rang, and I thought, here it goes. I picked up, it was Victoria, screaming, "Oh my God."
Wait, she didn't know?
No, nobody knew.
Stop. She didn't even know that in the last scene, her husband was coming back?
No.
Whoa.
That's the story, which I will tell you now.
Okay.
What happened was there was a scene in the middle of that episode where Pamela wakes up. She hears the shower. She goes to the shower. She opens it up. And John Beck, who she had been married to that year I was off the show, was in the shower. They had a nice little scene together about some business thing, or do you have to go? And yeah, I'll be back in a week, whatever it was, and that was the scene. Mm-hmm. And it was in the middle of the episode. So Victoria was watching, and where the scene was supposed to be, it wasn't there. And she thought, oh, crap, they cut it. That was a cute scene. They cut it. And so she's watching, and all of a sudden there she is waking up. But she knows there's only 30 seconds left in the episode. And she goes, and she knew I was coming back, but she didn't put it together in her mind. So she opened it. They used her shot of opening the shower door. And then they cut to me in the shower, which was filmed clear across town with a different production company that only does commercials for television. And we spent an entire day doing an Irish Spring soap commercial to get me turning around in the shower and saying, "Good morning." Beat, beat, beat. And you can have a good morning too if you wake up like the Duffy family with Irish Spring soap. And we knew that somebody would blow the whistle. So we spent the entire day doing that scene over and over and over again.
Totally pretend that it was an Irish Spring commercial.
Yeah, they had a case of soap. We did the same. No, there's too much soap. We can't see the Irish Spring on the thing. Over and over and over again.
You must have been pretty wet by the end of the whole thing.
Oh my God, it was like being back in The Man from Atlantis.
That's right. That's right.
But so that's how that got slipped.
So did anybody know? Did anybody figure it out? Nobody?
No,
so who the only people who knew were who?
That scene of me in the shower was hand carried to New York in a briefcase on a flight taken to CBS, wherever they do that. And it was cut into the master that was sent over the airwaves right then and there, about an hour before it was airing.
Very nice. That's amazing. I feel like it was a precursor, I guess you'd say, to, the Newhart ending.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, we did. They copied our thing.
Yeah.
They copied it.
They copied it. It's the same
on
thing.
purpose.
And that's one of the greatest series finale, because that was a series finale.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how they can get down in history as one of the best series finales. But it
was
came
just
from you.
they just borrowed the playbook.
Right. So I think most people know the Newhart ending, but that was also so funny too.
Because it was
clever.
It was the Newhart
Yeah.
show where he was married to,
I forget
her name,
Yeah.
wonderful actress. And in the dark at the end of the episode, you hear Bob's voice, which you can obviously know what it is. I can't sleep. I just can't sleep. And then you hear that unmistakable voice of Suzanne Plachette. Oh, Bob. I can't even get that low. Oh, Bob, what's the matter? They turn on the light and there's Suzanne Plachette in bed with Bob Newhart. And I think it was, I just don't know. I can't sleep. It's like I'm having a bad dream or whatever. And I just went, yes, okay. Little piece of history.
Exactly.
And it's good to have a piece of history. I mean, I'm so proud that over the times I've worked, I have a theme song. Whenever anybody wants to, introduce me on something, the band will play dum 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 dum.
Oh yeah.
It's like Bob Hope with his theme, or Johnny Carson, or
Yeah.
da 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 da. So I've got a theme song, and it's the Dallas theme.
And you don't mind the theme song, because some people would mind it.
Oh no,
No.
I'm so appreciative. There's nothing wood here, but I'm so appreciative of everything that's happened in my life. Every single thing. And there's nothing been more significant in terms of the trajectory of how I live my life than Dallas. Atlantis was perfect because it brought me to Dallas, but Dallas changed my life. It sent my kids to college. It cemented their potential for never having to really struggle. If they needed help, I could help them.
Yeah.
I'm so fortunate. We talked about it. I was able to buy a home to get away to in Mexico that that's where I'll end up, and all of that's because of Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a great thing. And it's so good that could have paid off on so many levels for you and for everybody watching it too. I mean,
think so too.
It's great for everybody. There are no losers here.
Yeah.
Right. And then you had your friendships, which is amazing too. Victoria Principal, were you friendly with her or not so much?
Every guest star that was on our show wanted to come back on the show. They said, this is the most happy work environment I've ever worked in. And it was true. There was not a blip on the market in terms of all of our getting to love each other. We were truly a family.
Yeah, that's
we called Barbara Bel Geddes mama, offset, on set, on hiatus, on the phone. Patrick, it's Barbara. Hey, Mama, how are you? And until Jim died, he was Daddy. I didn't call Victoria Pam, but I called her either VP or Veep. Haggy was in. Linda was always Linda, or Miss Gray. Hagman called her Miss Gray. It was always Miss Gray, and I just called her Linda. But we were all friends. Steve Canales, to this day, a dear friend. Kenny Kercheval, up to the day he died. I talked to him maybe 3 days before he died. Linda and I were at Larry's bedside when he died, an hour or so before. So every single cast member, every director we had, the production staff, everybody, it was this oasis of joy that I wanted to get to every day. And we had a director once who said, I love working with happily married actors. And we all said, what do you mean? He said, you guys just want to do your best work on your first take and go home.
Oh, yeah.
He said, you can pretty well bank on it if somebody's working until midnight on a show. They don't want to go home.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's true 100% of the time.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there are some workaholics there.
Interesting.
They're perfectionists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
There's a lot of people who just go, this is where it's fun, and that's not where it's
fun. Well, it's nice that everybody was on the same page, really.
So, Victoria's been a good friend of mine. Now, she left the show even before I did. She's not had anything to do with Dallas since then. We did one sort of Remembering Dallas that Henry Winkler produced, and it was just a
Henry
chat
Winkler
thing.
Was on the show too.
Oh,
you could have listened to him.
I'll look at him.
Watch this.
But she never wanted to be associated with Dallas once she left.
Oh, okay.
And it was because she was a businesswoman. She had her cosmetics.
That's right.
And her fitness and all that stuff. And she didn't want it to be a Dallas offshoot. She wanted it to be the principal secret. And that's what it was. So she didn't blend those or blur those lines at all, which I totally understood. But it didn't affect the ability of everybody to talk to each other.
Yeah.
When it was necessary. So anyway.
So this is the perfect segue into Step by Step, because
There you go. You're a master at this, aren't you?
You are. You just did it because you were talking about Victoria, but then it suddenly reminded me of Suzanne Somers, who, by the way, she was also on my show.
And by the way, she became my Hagman.
I know. And I heard you say that before, but I forgot actually to even say that at the beginning. You could have watched Suzanne's episode to get a feel for.
I could have, yeah.
Yeah. But we talked a lot about that, of her being Chrissy Snow, right? And then leaving. And she was also somebody who left.
Yeah. And she got fried for leaving.
Yeah.
Right.
You didn't really get fried.
No.
But she got fried.
Yeah. Well, because, and she talks about this, so it's not tales out of school, but they poisoned the well there in terms of trying to renegotiate. She didn't want to leave. She and Alan demanded a renegotiation, and the production, whoever they were that produced that show, didn't want to get pushed around that way. Mm-hmm. And so they didn't fire her. They ostracized her. They basically shunned her. She was no longer in those ensemble wonderful scenes in the living room of everybody falling over the couches and on the things and all that. She had a 2-walled set, a chair, and a phone, and they would call Chrissy.
Oh, that's right. Now you say that, I remember.
If you look at the last...
She was away. Was she away?
Well, yeah, she was always on a trip somewhere or doing something, and they would call her. She would come in maybe one day out of the whole shoot. They would have that set up. The cameras would be locked off. She'd read her lines.
So rude, like so blatantly.
Yeah. So she reinvented herself. She went to Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. She started honing her singing craft. She has a beautiful voice. She has a great style of singing. Alan, shepherded her through all that. And then she came back. We were still doing Dallas. She came back and did She's the Sheriff, which was, I think, a 1-season show.
Okay.
And then nothing crickets until Step by Step. And literally, I walked in and met her the first day on Step by Step. And I shook hands, and in my mind, I went, "Oh, you're my new Haggy."
You're very lucky. I mean, it's very cool for that to happen. But you know what? Okay. It's not just luck then.
I don't think
there's something about you.
And there's just the fortune of finding the right people too.
Yes, both. I think there is the luck because, right, you're not always, even if you are that person and you come across that way and you emulate that and you know, if you're not synced up to people who feel that and appreciate that and can give that back.
Right. You could do it, but sometimes it's a lot of work. And when it's really working, it's no work at all. Mm-hmm. And the same thing was true. Suzanne and I couldn't wait to get to the soundstage to do Step by Step. And instead of going to our rooms, we would sit in our chairs off camera and we would just talk all the time, just chat away. And we'd see each other every day. And people would say, "What do you have to talk about?"
Yeah. There's always stuff to talk about.
Yeah, it's like a quilting club or something. We were just hammering away at each other the whole time.
Well, do you think if there was somebody other than Suzanne, would you have had that friendship?
Well, I don't know. I'm falling in love with Linda. If I had worked with her, I think it would have been the same. Are
there other, I mean, you've worked on other things, many other things too.
I've had wonderful co-stars all the time, especially women, to be quite honest. I mean, that goes with the territory of being typecast, because of what I look like and the parts that I'd played prior. So I've worked, the joke was I've worked with so many beautiful women, all of the Charlie's Angels, and I actually went to bed with them all on the episode too, which was interesting.
Really? Wait, you really were worked with every Charlie's Angel?
Well, that were on the show at that time. It was Jacqueline Smith, who her character fell in love with my character on the show. And then in the same episode, Cheryl Ladd's character fell in love with my character on the show, and we kept the affairs separate from one another. And then the only way they could resolve it, because the angels couldn't fall in love erroneously, right? So they had to kill me. So they killed me in order for them to both mourn the man they loved, And then I did a TV movie with Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, and we fell in love and got married, and it was just, I've just met Lonnie Anderson,
They're icons, every single one of them.
Every single one of them. It just goes on.
And you got along with all of them.
All of them.
So that's you for sure. But I think that the friendship that you became best friends with Haggy. And what did you call Suzanne? I forget. Do you have any?
Suzanne? I always called her Suzanne.
Oh, just Suzanne. Okay.
Yeah. Nobody called her Susie or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, it was always Suzanne.
I hear you. So Suzanne and Haggy, those were because they were like that too.
Right. And because I was with Hagman for the original 13 and then 2 more, so 15 years working together. Suzanne was 7 years in a row, playing husband and wife who were madly in love with each other, and sexually attracted to each other, which made 7 kids on the show go, ew,
But that was a great gig to go to. Also, like totally different from Dallas, but at the same time, it seems to me like you were happy, at least with Suzanne, for sure.
God. The kids on the show were like my children. And when the show was over, for years when the show was over, I would get Father's Day cards from them, from especially Stacy Keenan and Christine Lakin. I wrote a letter of recommendation. It wasn't why she got in, but I wrote a letter to get Stacy into law school, saying, what a great person she is, how intelligent she is, how, everything. Same with Christine. I get baby pictures. I get, they're like family.
So do you think it's still possible to be like that now, or are we in a different era where people are more transient and move on? Do you know what I mean?
Well, first of all, there's something, what the beauty was, it happened from day one, but the longevity of the shows made it permanent in your life. And shows just don't last that long anymore.
No.
A season sometimes is 8 to 10 episodes, and it's hard to get in that rhythm, and it has to be a show that's joyful. And a lot of these shows that run are zombie shows or, killer shows.
Like
and
depressing.
And it's just like, spewing blood all the time. Do you want to go have a drink afterwards, or you just want to get the blood off?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm sure with the right combination of people and project, you could, because human nature is human nature.
Yeah. But also it's like, again, that protectiveness, almost what we started talking about earlier,
right.
Which is like the people who you're working with have to have that lack of, I don't know what.
That's interesting. Again, I never thought of it this way until you brought that up. With Haggy and with Suzanne, there was almost no wall. I did not have to edit.
Oh, you didn't have to edit.
I didn't have to edit.
Have the
I
wall.
did not have to edit, and I didn't have the wall then, because there was, I've known you now for, I stopped wearing a watch when I went to Mexico. What does that tell you?
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I haven't known you that long.
Yeah.
But the sense that I had over time with Linda and with Haggy and with Suzanne was I was completely safe. They know my life. Linda and Larry were the only people that I told when I got cancer and went through that, just because I knew it would go no further than right there. And it wasn't that I needed to keep it a secret, but I just didn't want 1,000 reporters wanting my comment on, a procedure.
Sure.
So, but there was no wall with those two.
So you knew right away you didn't need the wall.
I didn't need the wall with them, and there's that's the interesting thing about the wall that I hope people get. And I know you do, because you're a shrink, is that it's not like I have secrets. It's not I'm protecting a secret, unless you use the other form of the definition of the word secret, which is to secret something.
Okay.
In other words, I want to have things that are precious to me that I protect, not because they're any different than anything that other people wear on their shirt sleeves in public. But I want those few things that are my treasures that I go back to. And so I secret them away.
Yeah.
But they're not really a secret because I'm not trying to keep people from discovering something. I want to be able to lock my mental door and know I'm safe behind it. And I do that.
Yeah.
I do that.
So what are some of those things that you secret?
Well, I don't even know. I can't. Well, broad strokes. I would say I'm pretty insecure as a person. I will absolutely say that I am an introvert. I am most comfortable in my home or on whatever property I'm on, without people, unless it's somebody, my wife for 46 years, 47 years, or Linda. But the joke I tell people, because I love being out, is that it's not oxymoronic.
It's not.
I love being out, but when I'm out, I'm on. And not exhaustively on. Just I know that people have an impression, and that I want to give them the proper impression of who I am. So that's why I edit. And I'm telling the truth. I'm just editing while I'm telling it. But over the breakfast table with Linda, no, I don't edit.
Right.
With Haggy, I didn't edit. We took so many trips together. We got so drunk together on a regular basis. We told each other everything. There was no secrets. Linda would observe the two of us and she'd say, "Oh, boys,"
Yeah.
And when the three of us would travel, it was like mother and then these two crazy guys.
Sure.
But we would sit in our hotel room when we would take trips. We'd go to Europe together and all these things, usually for work, and not long work, but 4 days in Germany.
Yeah.
And they pay you a whole bunch of money.
That's
and
nice.
And you don't have to memorize lines. It's all that kind of stuff. So what do? Well, you just go out and find bistros and Hofbraus and drink beer and chat. And then you go to your room and instead of people going to Linda's room, Larry's room, and my room, we'd all meet in Haggy's room. And he and I would empty the mini bar, and then we'd order hamburgers at 3 a.m. And it was so joyful.
Yeah, you're really lucky to have experienced that in that way and have been open to it at that time as well, and to appreciate it now.
It just was meshed. It was perfect.
So it's interesting that you say that you're an introvert too, and I believe you, by the way. I'm not saying that you're not, but it is, I think a lot of people who are introverts don't come across as introverts.
Yes, I think so too.
And also because it is like where you derive your energy, right? So you do need to be away from everything and people and whatever to get your energy back, and that's normal.
Right.
But it's also interesting because you made such good friendships, so you're able to still be extroverted in some way enough to connect with the people that you've connected with. And
I'm not falsely connecting with them. That's I want to emphasize that, is that I'm not playing a character. I am me. I'm just the me that's kind of expected to be me, but hopefully not shallow. I'm like that Al Franken character on Saturday Night Live, Deep Thoughts.
Yeah, with Deep Thoughts with what? Was it Paul Baldwin or is that somebody different? Deep Thoughts, right? I'm so and so,
and because you deserve it, or something like I forgot.
And I like me, or something like that.
Yeah,
right.
I forget his character name, but so
But you come across as authentically, for sure.
It is me. I mean, it is me, and it's authentic. It's just I know that I'm not guarded is not the right word. I'm aware. And then when I'm with the people that I'm completely comfortable with, I don't have to be aware, because I know that whatever comes out is exactly who they know.
Yeah, and you're safe.
And I'm safe.
But also about being insecure. I think a lot of people will be surprised about that, but I think that everybody is insecure.
I think they are too.
I think you would be hard pressed to show me somebody who's not insecure, no matter how they come across.
That's true. That's true.
We all are.
Yeah. And and that's one of the first things I told Linda when we got together. You don't understand how insecure I am. Are you sure you love me?
Did she believe you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, she knows. Every morning it's like, it's me again. Is it okay that I'm here? I'm starting to get a little more relaxed about it. 'Cause
Right.
actually, we bought a house in Mexico. So what does that tell you? Yeah.
So you're insecure about like anything, or how people feel about you, or what?
Well, this is another thing, is I'm insecure around people that not only that I admire, but that I stand in awe with a little a at their capabilities and at their intellect and at their
Okay.
grasp of things. And I don't think of myself as being extremely intellectual or I certainly don't have a business sense. So, that's way out of my wheelhouse. So I'm always a bit insecure of being found out,
So like imposter syndrome.
Yeah, so I don't. Well, is that what it's called?
That
The
is what it's
imposter
called.
syndrome. Okay. Oh dear God.
And not everybody has imposter syndrome.
but-
I'm not going to say everybody, but
it's
so
common.
Yeah.
It is common, and it's not debilitating. It doesn't. I'm not a recluse. I just really enjoy quietude. I'm not antisocial. I just enjoy small relationships with special people. If you said, which 5 people would you like to dinner? I'd stop at 3 and go, I don't know who else.
Yeah. Isn't it so funny that like the human brain, like what we do, we're constantly thinking about ourselves and are we good enough and how we come across and like just it's a constant
It's how I
state.
got dressed to come and do this interview. I didn't just throw on what was in the closet. Everything was a conscious choice.
Of course.
I'm going to be on camera. I know who I'm talking to. I know what she looks like. How do I want to look? Where this? Should I do the button up? No, I shouldn't do the button up. Yeah, I should do the button up. Should I wear a t-shirt or should I not wear a t-shirt? Oh, Linda, what do you think? Should I wear a t-shirt? Should I not wear? It's like, just go to the interview.
Yes.
That was Patrick Duffy. If you liked this video, by the way, tap the like button and drop a comment. I read them and I really would love to know what you think about Patrick, me, Really Famous, this conversation, anything. Dallas, Bobby Ewing, Who Shot JR, whatever. Drop it in the comments below.
If you like this video, by the way, you will probably want to catch my talk with Suzanne Somers, right? There is a link in the description to that